9 million acres of forest, 1,700 miles of continuous shoreline, 4,300 lakes, 12,000 miles of streams, more than 300 waterfalls, 15 counties, 2 time zones, and 1 area code. Welcome to the Upper Peninsula. Welcome to 906 Outdoors. If you're a UP sportsman, this is the time of year where it all comes together. You can fish and hunt for just about every species found on the peninsula. The fish are biting, the deer are moving, and the birds are flying. You just need to get up in the morning and decide where you want to be when the sun comes up. I hooked up with a group of friends from the Stevenson area who decided they wanted to be in a cornfield waiting for geese to show up.
Yeah, it's a rainy fall UP morning. Right now we're setting decoys for the wind we have. It's a cut cornfield. It's a small field, but the birds have been hitting it pretty heavy. So we've got a V spread, about 4 dozen decoys out, and we're trying to hide layout lines. So we need to brush them in with vegetation from the field. Yesterday was an impressive sight. There were thousands of birds making a push south, and then today we're met with a south wind that's going to hold the birds in their place. So yeah, we've got 3 callers today, pretty good callers. The birds have been coming off the bay to this small cut cornfield. We're set up so that they come to the west side of the field, away from any roads, and try to stay away from any field edges. We're just going to sit back and wait for the birds. This is the reason we come out an hour and a half early to brush in our blinds and set our decoys, as we can hurry up and wait. They're coming back around. Go! What is high score?
.906 Outdoors is brought to you in part by the Island Resort and Casino.
Bet America Sportsbook at Island Resort and Casino.
The majority of what we're doing every night is driving around finding where these birds are coming from and where they're going. And we knew these birds were coming from a small inland lake. Had this field in mind the whole time. They were cupped out from the time they met the horizon line. We could see them. Go!
Canada goose is the most widely distributed goose in North America. It's found in every contiguous U.S. state and Canadian province at one time of the year or another, and occupies a broad range of habitats including areas of human habitation. At around 2 years of age, geese form lifelong pair bonds. Offspring remain with their parents throughout the first year of life. Current population estimates range from 3 million to as many as 8 million individual birds. They, of course, are known for their seasonal migrations, which take place from September through the beginning of November. Ducks and geese follow ancient pathways from their breeding grounds to wintering areas. Each fall, millions of waterfowl migrate south to warmer regions in search of food and habitat. It's not certain how ducks and geese navigate during migration, but scientists believe the birds take cues from the position of the sun, moon, and stars, along with geographic landmarks like rivers and mountains and magnetic fields invisible to the human eye. The migration corridors followed by ducks and geese are known as flyways. For management purposes, North America is divided into 4 flyways: the Atlantic, Mississippi, Central, and Pacific. The Mississippi flyway is the most heavily used, with about 40% of all North American migrating waterfowl and shorebirds using this route. Each year, more than 325 bird species make the round trip from their breeding grounds in Canada and the northern U.S. to their wintering grounds along the Gulf of Mexico region. This route offers a clear path with no mountains over its entire extent, as well as good sources of water, food, and cover. These stop-off points offer great hunting opportunities. Goose hunting season in the Upper Peninsula begins with the early season on September 1st and runs through December 16th, offering plenty of opportunity to waterfowlers. Geese typically roost on water and head for nearby farm fields to feed late in the afternoon. As we move into fall, you'll find them in oat fields, wheat fields, and barley fields in search of spent grain. As we move later into fall and the corn comes off, they congregate there for dinner. They will often return to these same fields in the morning for breakfast, so when the sun comes up, that's the place to be.
Help!
Today's show is brought to you in part by Rapid River Knife Works, home of Michigan's largest custom knife factory showroom.
Start the pile! Man, shoot him! That's our fourth bird right there.
Just had one of our best mornings of goose hunting we could have ever ordered up. And as you can see, we have a good group of guys to hunt with. So we have a lot of fun together. I just got into this about a year with these guys. I just show up and it's a fully guided goose hunt with these guys. So they said, have a gun and have a layout blind and you're welcome. And they do the calling, they pull the trailers. As you can see, it's quite an operation. But
well, there's a lesson.
There's a couple nice ones.
Movie.
No! I almost went down.
Didn't take a whole lot of calling, it didn't take a whole lot of decoys. There's still a big push of geese, as you probably saw after we were breaking down. Those are probably coming off the bay, and there's more shooting from those ones, so we're excited.
we used to love bow hunting up here, and now this is starting to kind of take it over until the rut starts, and it's just a fun fill-in time with your buddies. You get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, and sit in sleeping bags in the ground pretty much and wait for the geese to fly in. So no shortage of action either, and you get to harass everyone when they miss a shot or two, because we all kind of know who's shooting at which group of birds and talk it out and make a game plan. So it's a lot of fun, and it's definitely a new way to enjoy the UP that I'm starting to learn. This time of year, you had to pick your poison on fun. You could walleye fish, you can fish in the streams, you can duck hunt, goose hunt, anything. Deer hunting right now, bear. So this is what we're doing today, and it's just starting to get good. The flight patterns are flying through, and it's going to be good for a while.
The firearm deer season is almost here, and opening morning is one of the most anticipated days of the year. After that ever so special opening morning hunt is over, you head back to camp, or wherever it is you hang your chromer, peel off some orange, and slip into some breakfast. For me, that second half of the morning means camp. A warm fire, and the smell of coffee and bacon. I've heard some people don't drink coffee, but I've never heard of anybody who doesn't like bacon. And here in the land of do-it-yourself, it's not a surprise to find someone who makes his own. So when my buddy Zingy called and said he was smoking bacon, I headed over for a taste.
I'm going to start with this side pork. I'd like to tell you that I raised this hog and butchered it, but we're going to leave that to the people who like raising hogs. So I'm going to mix up some smoked salt. We're going to rub it on there, and also to speed things up, I'm going to inject it. So here we go. This is the smoked salt we mix up for everything. Fish, hams, turkey. The amount of sugar is different. A different amount for what I'm doing. The fish, I add more sugar than what I would for the bacon. For bacon, I hate to have it too sweet. You know, if you want it sweeter, you can put some syrup on from your pancakes, but this is how I test it. A little more sugar. You can make it as salty or as sweet as you'd like, just by adding one or the other, and I think that ought to do it. So now we're just gonna rub this on here. And usually, if you just use the rub, or if you were to make a brine, it would take like 2 days for every pound in the brine. But we're gonna speed that process up by injecting the bacon. Now I'm going to stand this up in this crock here, and I like using these crocks. Well, for one thing, it stands up in there nice, but when I get the other two in here, it'll be easy to inject it on the edges. Now I'm going to take the remaining salt that I got, make a brine, and inject that into the ends or the sides of them slabs of meat. pump this in here every 24 hours or so for a few days. Basically the same thing as if you're smoking a ham or a turkey. You want to inject it. It just speeds up the process of the brining. Okay, we're done injecting. What we're gonna do is just set this outside. That's why I like these crocks. At night, the temperature is gonna get down in the 30s, and this stone crock will hold that temperature. Next, we'll be going into the smokehouse.
Today's Wild Game Break is brought to you by Cooking Wild Seasonings. Make it fresh, make it yours. Find out more at cookingwildseasonings.com.
The main deterrent of getting bad meat is having your deer dressed properly and rinsed out. Bring a jug of water or something to rinse your deer out. If the weather permits, you can let them hang. It's actually better. Breaks down the muscles a little bit. As far as leaving the hide on or taking it off right away, it's no big issue. Ream the back end out. The heat doesn't come out as good as if it was reamed out good.
So the bacon's been in here about 3-4 days, and we're gonna get ready to put it in the smoker. I injected it a few more times in between to get the salt in the meat, in the fat. When you're salting meat, the best temperature is like 34 to 40 degrees. If it's lower than 34, the salt won't take into the meat. It won't work. Got to be above that temperature so it'll get into the cells of the meat and do its job. So we're ready to go. I like to put the meat in before I start the fire so I can breathe. A lot of people hang these on a rack that you can buy. I don't have one. So I'll put it on the rack that we put the fish and jerky and stuff like that on. Works pretty good. Sugar maple, hard maple, people use a lot of different stuff. I tried a lot of different things, for instance hickory and apple wood, but I'll always go back to the hard maple. It works best for me. The flavor in it is, for me, I don't know. That's what I like. Other people like different stuff, I guess. Alder, stuff like that. Well, I like to get this bark off of there. It's got the moss on there. And that don't, when that burns, that don't smell too good. So we'll put this on there, let the door open, let the fire go a little bit, let that cedar burn out of there. I don't like smoking with cedar. Well, we stuffed some sausage yesterday, and as long as we got the smokehouse going, we might as well put them in there. This I'll smoke for probably 10-12 hours. Depending upon how the temperature goes. Sometimes it takes a while to get it up to temperature because you don't want to throw a lot of wood in there and burn it, but yet you want it to get done. Now we're going to let it smoke for 10-12 hours. We get a cold smoke for a while, 6 hours or so. That way the smoke gets into the meat. If you heat it up, it makes like a crust on there, like you sear a steak. It keeps the juices in, it won't let the smoke in. I like to smoke it cold, 100 degrees for 6 hours or so, and then let the temperature come up, get it to about 160, 165 degrees, and we should be done. Well, the bacon's been in there for 10.5 hours now. Looks to me like it's done. So we're gonna pull it out. We'll let the sausage cook for a little while. I think it needs to go a little bit longer. We'll pull that out and bring it in and check it out. We had it up to like 175, and it's down a little bit now as we open the door. And we're gonna get the bacon out and rustle up the fire and close it back up for a little bit. So when we started out this morning, you know, the smoker was cold, the meat was cold. You know, after all the rain, it was damp. So we made the fire, and as the day went on, the smoker started warming up, the meat started warming up, and the temperature, you know, got up to like 100. And slowly, as everything warmed up, the meat and everything, temperature got up to like 150, and you know, we kept adding wood to the fire, of course, but in the end, everything warms up and it starts a cooking, and we got that fire going in there now, and the temperature should go up to about 175 in about an hour or so, 2 hours. That sausage ought to be done. Well, like everything else I make, we got to try it out. We got to try this. Oh yeah, nothing better than homemade stuff.